We're on.
Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Township Council Agenda Meeting, March 11th, 2014. Meeting called to order by myself at 7:35 p.m. Please rise for flag salute. Mr. Peluso, if you would lead us. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gotcha. Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Peluso.
Present.
Mr. Stanton.
Here.
Mr. Valori.
Here. Others present, Mayor Barbario, Jasmine Lim, Business Administrator, Paula Cazzarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, John Inglesino, Esquire, Township Attorney, Yancy Wazirmas, Township Clerk, Joseph Kowalczyk, CFO. Formal action may or may not be taken.
Statement of compliance. Adequate notice that this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 18, 2013, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record on December 20th, 2013, and the Star Ledger on December 23rd, 2013, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and radio stations on December 18, 2013. No council meetings are videotaped and aired on Cablevision Public Access Channel 21 at 12 p.m. on Sundays and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Okay, we're going to suspend the normal order of business.
Just see if they're ready for next weekend.
Okay, no, we have
Okay.
something else.
Okay.
Mr. Valori, you have a resolution?
Yes. The Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Resolution Number 35, a resolution of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills determining that John P. Inglesino, Stephen B. Perlman, John P. Wyscala, Lisa D. Taylor, together with the law firm of Inglesino, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, formerly known as Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, have acted in violation of Township Ordinance Number 2010:02, disqualifying them from eligibility for current and future township contracts for a period of 4 calendar years. Whereas Parsippany-Troy Hills Township is a Faulkner municipality governed under NJSA 40:69-A-1. Whereas John P. Inglesino was appointed Township Attorney by Mayor James Barbario and confirmed by the Township of Council on January 15, 2013, and was awarded professional services contract for a 1-year term, which contract has expired. And whereas the Township Council has been provided with information demonstrating that Mr. Inglesino and other lawyers in the law firm of Inglesino, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, formerly known as Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, have acted in direct violation of the Township's pay-to-play ordinance number 2010:02, codified in Chapter 12 of the Township Code, the pay-to-play ordinance, by 1, making or soliciting contributions to Mayor James R. Barbario's campaign account through intermediaries for the purpose for concealing or misrepresenting the source of contributions. 2, making or soliciting any contribution on the condition or with the agreement that it will be contributed to a candidate, committee of any candidate, or holder of the public office of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. 3, funding contributions made by third parties, including consultants, attorney fees, family members, and employees. 4, engaging in the exchange of contributions to circumvent the intent of that article, and or 5, directly or indirectly through or by any other person or means doing any act which would subject him or his firm to the restrictions of the pay-to-play ordinance at Article 12, Municipal Code, Chapter 12, Contracts, Article 1, 12-7A, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and whereas specifically on or about March 4th, 2013, the campaign of Senator Kevin J. O'Toole made a monetary contribution to Mayor James R. Barbario's campaign account in the amount of $5,000. See Exhibit A, received by the Barbario campaign on March 8th, 2013. See Exhibit B. And whereas evidence has been presented demonstrating on March 19th, 2013, within 11 days of the contribution being received by Mayor Barbario's campaign and sent by Senator O'Toole's campaign, a contribution consisting of various checks listed below, totaling $5,000 and attributed to Mr. Inglesino, was made to the campaign account of Senator O'Toole. Name of contributor, John Inglesino, amount $300. Name of contributor, Steve Perlman, $1,567. Name of contributor, John Wyscala, amount $1,567. Name of contributor, Lisa Taylor, amount $1,566, totaling $5,000. And whereas the aforesaid bundled checks total the exact amount of the contribution made to Mayor Barbario's campaign account on March 6, 2013, and received on March 8, 2013. See Exhibit C. Whereas the timing and the amount of the aforesaid contributions create an irrefutable presumption that the contributions were in exchange for one another in direct violation of the pay-to-play ordinance, and whereas an exchange of contributions, one for another, under the circumstances outlined above, violates one or all of the prohibitions in the pay-to-play ordinance outlined here and above, and subjects each of the above listed individuals, together with any firms with which they are associated, to the penalty provisions set forth therein. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris and the State of New Jersey as follows. 1. The above recitals are incorporated herein and as if set forth as length. And 2. John P. Inglesino, Stephen B. Perlman, John P. Wyscala, Lisa D. Taylor, together with the law firm of Inglesino, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, formerly known as Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, are each determined have acted in violation of the Township's pay-to-play ordinance, number 2010:02, codified at Chapter 12, Contracts, Article 1, Prohibitions on Contract Awards 12-1 of the Township Code. 3. John P. Inglesino, Stephen B. Perlman, John Wyscala, Lisa D. Taylor, together with the law firm of Inglesino, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, formerly known as Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, and any other law firms with which the above listed individuals are affiliated, are hereby disqualified from any current contracts and from eligibility for future contracts with the Township for a period of 4 calendar years from the date hereof. End. Number 4, as a result of disqualification, John P. Inglesino and the law firm of Inglesino, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, formerly known as Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, and Taylor, LLC, as a matter of law, shall be hereby are disqualified as Township Attorney. And number 5, that a notice of this action shall be printed once in the legal newspaper of the Township. And 6, that a certified copy of the resolution shall be forwarded to the Department of Community Affairs, Local Government Services, to the Office of the State Comptroller, and to the Attorney Ethics Disciplinary Review Board for further action as deemed appropriate. And number 7, that if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this resolution is for any reason found to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the remaining portions of this resolution.
I second that.
Mr. Council President, if
Roll.
I may.
No. We have a motion on the floor. Roll call.
No, after a motion is made and seconded, Robert's rule says you can have discussion. So discussion is appropriate at that point in time.
Okay. All right. I'll let him talk. Go ahead.
First of all, this is the first that I've seen this resolution. The resolution makes factual allegations and comes to conclusions which are untrue and are unsupported. I find this to be very disappointing, to say the least, but I don't feel it's right, and it's inappropriate, and it's an untrue allegation. So
And-
I think that, frankly, it's not effective.
Okay.
I just would like to make notice that I just received this just before the meeting, so I haven't had a chance to see this reviewed either. But these allegations, I believe, should go before the Election Law Enforcement Commission for investigation. Not this is not a hanging jury here. It's not the 1800s. Okay, the proper procedure is submit your claims to the Election Law Enforcement Commission and let them make their judgment. Okay, that being said, now, in addition, the conflict between the administration and the town council is counterproductive to the township. It's non-professional, and it's certainly not in the best interest of the residents. I am hopeful that in the future, the council and the administration can resolve these differences, put them aside, and work together for what's better for the township. If I can do anything to bring that about, please let me know.
If I may, I have our conflict attorney here tonight, Michael Avery, who can respond to the allegations that were just made by
We're not, I'm not going to recognize that.
Councilman Valori. I think you need to recommend it. This is our
No,
town.
this go to
no,
vote.
sir.
No, this go
Sir,
to vote.
No,
No.
sir. Sir,
No.
no. Sir, no.
No,
I
we're-
have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor to
Sorry, I have a
vote.
motion on the floor. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. I would agree with Mr. DePiero. We need to get this over with.
Okay,
Go
then
to
I'm
vote.
going to
Fine,
make
vote.
my
All right, we're
comment
going to take a
then.
vote.
If you want to vote, you're going to vote whatever way you want to vote. If you would just hear me out in executive session,
No.
I do not want to hash this out here, but I think there are certain procedural requirements that
Sir.
have to take place before you take any action.
Absolutely.
Okay, please.
Sir, okay.
Okay.
Sir, please sit down. Okay, please sit down. We have a motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
No.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Due to the same thing that Mr. DiPiero said, just about receiving this tonight, I'm going to vote now.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
If I'm correct, you need 4 votes to remove. So, and they don't have 4
Not-
votes. Okay. Thank you.
Keep going to the next.
I believe not.
More than happy to, even though the vote's already been taken, if council wants
Well,
I believe not for a.
I'm making my comment tonight.
All right, just
Wait,
go on. We-
hold on a second. Okay. I believe for a violation of the pay-to-play ordinance, you only need 3 votes.
You're not in a position, if it's a pay-to-play violation, it goes to the Election Law Enforcement
Okay,
Commission.
well, we
You
have-
don't make that decision.
Okay, well, Mr. DePiero, we have a 3-2 vote. Okay, that's the way the vote went.
Okay.
All right, we have another resolution
That's a
to be
joke.
read.
What a joke.
Mr. Paluso?
Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Resolution Number 36. A resolution of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills removing the township attorney and directing the township clerk to file ethics charges. Whereas Parsippany-Troy Hills Township is a Faulkner municipality governed under SJSA 40:69A-1. And whereas John Inglesino was appointed township attorney on or about January 15, 2013, under a professional services contract for 1-year term, and that contract has expired. And whereas it has been determined that John Inglesino is in conflict and violation of the rules of professional conduct, municipal ordinance, and the case law requiring him to be removed immediately as directed and discussed in the March 6, 2014 legal ethics opinion letter of Eric Bernstein, Esquire, attached hereunto as Exhibit A and part of this resolution. And whereas it has been further brought to the attention of the council that Mr. Inglesino has also been named in litigation as a defendant involved in the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. This is a Superior Court document attached here to Exhibit B and made as part of the resolution. This litigation involving the township, whereas the township, to protect itself and taxpayers, will be asserting cross-claims and all defenses at law against Mr. Inglesino. And whereas all the violations have caused significant conflict, raises several ethical issues, and continues to cause conflict, requiring John Inglesino to be removed immediately as township attorney, ending the attorney-client relationship. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris in the State of New Jersey that the council finds as follows. that, number one, John Inglesino is immediately removed as township attorney for the above ethical violations and improprieties. Number two, that the township clerk file ethics charges against John Inglesino for his failure to step aside after being informed of his conflicts and for his failure to provide legal bills to his client, the township elected officials. And let it be further resolved that if John Inglesino continues to refuse to step down and ceases representation of the township and fails to return all municipal files to the township, the council does hereby authorize the appointment of special municipal counsel to take all legal action necessary to include the filing of an order to show cause removing him as township attorney and taking all legal action necessary to protect the interests of Parsippany-Troy Hills and its residents. Be it further resolved that the council does hereby authorize an investigation into the legal bills of John Inglesino and the payment of these bills to include the appointment of a special municipal counsel to help guide the council in its investigation. Be it further resolved that a notice of this action shall be printed once in the legal newspaper of the township. Be it further resolved that if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this resolution is for any reason found to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the remaining portions of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Comments, please?
I would just reiterate the same thing I said before, which
All
I
right.
would like to speak to the executive session for the protection of yourselves in the township, just to discuss the impact of this legally. There is a procedure for these type of activities.
It's not on, it's not on. There you go.
Again, I would reiterate what I said to council earlier, that I would like to have a brief executive session so I can discuss the legal impacts of this. I am special counsel to the township. I know I wasn't hired for this particular matter, but I do think that we do deserve a brief executive session to go through the procedure that has to be followed.
And if I can add, Councilman DePiero and Councilman Stanton said they did not know anything about this. But obviously, Councilman Paluso, Councilman Valori, and Councilman Karifi did, which in fact, indeed, would be a violation of the Sunshine Law. Because you guys have, last night, Rob, we talked. You pretty much told me what was coming down today. You told me there was contributions that were made out to me when they weren't. So you knew, the three of you have conspired prior, and you've had a quorum. I would have never known this prior to the meeting. That being said, you're in violation of the Sunshine Law for having a quorum. That's number one. Number two, the counselor is my appointment. He's not being removed tonight without proper notice, without proper what his crimes are, which are no crimes here. So therefore, he stays up here tonight. It's my appointment. He's a holdover until, and I got a letter from the New Jersey local Board of Finance saying they're going to be investigating this matter in detail. So, while you guys think you can make the decisions that belongs to the state agencies, you cannot. They will make the decisions. They're the ones that are going to make those decisions, not you guys. So therefore, we have several problems here. We have a quorum without public notice. So now we know 3 council members conspired because 2 other council members said they did not know about it. But 3 council members have. That being said, John Inglesino will stay the township attorney until either the ethics board or it's done properly, as our conflict attorney has said.
And as the motion states, we will direct the clerk to file with the appropriate commissions the
And
ethics
that-
complaints, and they will determine
Absolutely.
the outcome.
And I
as
just
far
said
as
that.
your accusation, you can ask the clerk. I gave her copies to make tonight. And specifically, there was a copy in there for Mr. Paluso that she made tonight, that he was given tonight. So, and Mr. Stanton was given that as soon as we got here today.
When we have the hearing,
So-
I will,
Yes,
during
we
the
will.
hearing,
Yes,
I
we
will,
will.
I will
So
talk
we-
about the discussion that I had last night.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
Go to
Roll
motion.
call.
Before you take the motion, let me just point out again, this council, on the previous motion on this one, you're acting as judge and jury without
Thank
due
you.
process to the accused.
No, we're not. We're
This
just
is-
asking,
this
we're
is not
asking
right.
that the Ethics Commission investigate
You
the
just asked
claims.
him, you asked him to step down.
Oh, no, you're in your previous motion,
Well-
you asked him, you demanded that he step down.
Based
And
on the evidence that you were provided right there, Mr.
Well,
DePiero,
my
we
point,
talked about it.
my point is, okay, you're not listening.
Okay.
My point is, okay, you're acting as judge and jury without due process. What you should do, okay, both of these motions are out of order. What you should do is submit your evidence to the Election Law Enforcement Commission and let due process take its place. Anything else, you're going beyond what you have the authority to do.
That is what we will be doing.
Then rescind your motion and do that.
No, we're voting on this because we want to have the clerk send
Yeah,
this down to the Ethics Commission.
Councilman, you have to rescind your first one because you asked him to step down. But if you're going to do just that, that's fine with the Ethics Commission.
Go to vote.
Roll call, please.
Mr. DePiero,
No.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
With the same thing I said, 35 and 36, basically the same thing. If the proofs come out and the proofs come out that both of these things are true, I'd have no problem voting yes on this. But as it is right now, until we get a final answer, I'm voting no.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. So I would direct the clerk to file that paperwork. And I would just like to say, Mr. DePiero, I totally agree with you that I would like to have this all put to rest so that we can get on with the township business and do what's right for the taxpayers of this town.
After you file this, I would be very happy to put something together so we can sit down and talk and put this behind us. I really want us to function as a town council and a mayor working for the town
So would I.
residents.
So would I.
Mr. Council President, if I may, in my own defense, and, you know, Mr. Lavery has opined that there are two council members up here who have a conflict of interest on any matters related to me, Mr. Karifi and Mr. Valori. Those two council members have refused to abide by the opinion of Mr. Lavery. Mr. Lavery is a professional. He's an accomplished municipal attorney. He's a former mayor, and he is special counsel to the township. He does not represent me. He does not represent Mayor Barbario. He represents the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. These questions were posed to him by the town council for an opinion, which he gave. He's given 2, maybe 3, maybe even more opinions on this issue, all of which have been the same. Mr. Karifi and Mr. Valori are not eligible to vote on matters pertaining to me. Now, as some of you know, some of you might gather, I'm a pretty principled person. I do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes I get in trouble for that, but it's the only way I know. And I know that I am representing the township, have been representing the township until recently anyway, concerning a matter regarding the council president's brother, some very serious allegations. And I understand that he is upset with me about that. He has made public comments to that effect, which is exactly what gives rise to the conflict. It is unfortunate that I am being treated in this way for simply doing my job for the people, for the municipal government of Parsippany-Troy Hills. I appreciate very much the mayor's confidence. The mayor and I are alike in regards to doing the right thing and standing for principle. And with his confidence and his trust, I will, in his support, I will continue in this position.
Well, myself and Mr. Valori went out and got our own attorney, who provided a 6+ page document with all kinds of case law, strictly going against everything what Mr. Lavery had stated, and going the complete opposite of what he stated, stating that there is a conflict that exists and that you would need to step down. So you have your attorney saying one thing, and we have ours saying the complete opposite.
No, Mr. Council President, Mr. Lavery's not my attorney.
Well, he's the town attorney.
Yes, but Mr. Bernstein is not the township attorney. One other point that I must
Okay.
make, the council does not have the authority or the power to hire legal counsel.
We know that.
Okay, but you indicated before, you said just the opposite a few minutes ago. You said that, and I think it's in the resolution that Mr. Paluso read, that you were going to hire an attorney to bring an order to show cause.
And you can't.
The council doesn't have the authority to do that. I just wanted to point that out to you.
That was for providing billing. And you state again Okay, again, you continue to bring up this thing with my brother, where no matter who the town attorney is or would be, they would have to defend the town in any wrongdoing, anything pertaining to my brother. My conflict is I've asked you for legal bills, unredacted, with the exception of go ahead and redact everything that has to do with my brother. I totally understand that, and that I have to stay away from all of that, which I've repeatedly stated. But you refuse to give me unredacted legal bills. And as an elected official of this town, it is my job to know where the taxpayers' money is being spent and what it is being spent on and what kind of work is being done. And you won't show me that when I've been told numerous times that as a councilman, I have the right to see that. So that is where my issue with you is. The other thing, I totally understand, and I know that I cannot be involved in any of that, which I've stated. So, okay, let's move on.
Well, let me just respond to your
We're
comment
gonna move
about the
on. We're gonna
attorney
move
bills.
on.
Well,
I
you want to
wanna-
make a comment.
We're going to move on.
A lot of those bills are attorney-client privilege, and when those privileges are, whatever, you get in closed session, you're told what it's about. Councilman, what you want to do is you want to dictate what we can do with suits in our town. We have to, we're duty bound to do certain things.
No, I don't.
So,
Okay. Okay, ordinance for second reading and public hearings. Any questions or concerns? Are we all set on that? Yancy?
I'm sorry.
Are we all set on the ordinance and second readings, public hearings?
Yes, everything is ready and
Everything is
published.
ready?
All right, I'd like to make a motion to add ordinance number 2014:05, ordinance to the Township Council, Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amend supplement Chapter 4 entitled Administration of Government, Article 2 of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills.
Mr. Council President, again, this is,
What is that?
this is just added tonight. I know that
For
this
next
is.
week. It's
I
for
know,
next
but
week.
this is an issue that we had discussed. There are a lot of issues raised by this ordinance, which we have not reviewed, and under your law, under your code, all ordinances are to be approved by the township attorney. We had a meeting, actually, scheduled with the council president, which was canceled due to a snowstorm. That meeting was supposed to be rescheduled. It wasn't. We have a lot of information
2014:05.
administratively to
I'm sorry,
discuss.
what is 2014:05?
I don't even have
Right there, Mike.
Where?
John,
This one
is there a
here?
way to add this by title only and in the next week,
I-
or
I
it's not
think-
enough time?
There's no number on
There's
it.
not enough time. I
Okay.
think the advisable thing to do is to convene the group that was supposed to meet, a month or so ago, whenever we were snowed out, and to address some of the administration concerns and to understand some of the policy concerns and craft an ordinance that accomplishes what you want to do. But this ordinance it doesn't do that. So we need that meeting, and I would recommend we do that prior to the introduction of any ordinance.
Yeah, Council President, that meeting, I remember we called you for the meeting, but the snow, we had to close town hall that day.
Actually, it was the council president who called to cancel
Right.
the meeting,
But-
but you're right, it would have.
But my point, and what the council is saying is that we're more than glad to meet with you. So if you could schedule an appointment with us, that would be fine.
Okay, well, I originally had asked for this to be addressed on January 7th, I believe, which is over 2 months ago. I know we did have the meeting and the snowstorm did cancel that, but I did include, everything that's on this list here is included, that with the exceptions that the CFO needed for him to do his daily business. So if that is the case, if we can set this meeting up
Sure.
ASAP so that we can have it potentially for next week, if that's possible.
Call my office first thing, and we'll set it up.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, status of adopted ordinances. Ordinance 2014:01 and 2014:02. Adopted date, February 11th, 2014. Mayoral action, February 19th, 2014, effective date March 11th, 2014. Discussion, reminders. Mr. Valori, some appointments.
Yes, Mr. Council President, there was 2 vacancies, I believe, Yancy, for the Transparency Committee,
Yes.
and I wanted to nominate 2 individuals for that. Should I do one at a time or both names so we could get that Transparency Committee going?
Did you want to nominate them for tonight, or did you want to do the nominations for the?
I'd like to nominate them tonight, if that's possible.
Have we seen resumes? Do we have resumes for these people?
I spoke to the individuals and I reviewed their resumes personally.
Yeah, but if you want the council to vote on them, then the council should see the resumes.
We made other appointments in the very beginning of January to fill vacancies, and those individuals did not produce resumes that we had nominated. So you voted on individuals, and you did not see the resumes. So if you want me to get the resumes, I could do that. That's no problem. But I have 2 individuals that are interested.
I'm not
And
opposed-
Mr.
I'm
Mr.
not
DePiero,
opposed to
just
the
hold on for 1 second.
individuals that you're
The
nominating.
Transparency Committee has done nothing in the last several years. I'm trying to get this committee up and going so the taxpayers know where our money's being spent. If you want the resumes, I will send them personally to your house tonight. But beyond that, do you want to go to vote for the 2 names, or do you want to wait until next week for these 2 individuals? You tell me.
Are you done?
Or are you done?
Okay, are you done? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. DePiero.
I have no problem with voting on them tonight. I would like to see resumes. They can submit them afterwards. I applaud your efforts to complete the committee so it can get some work done. I have
Thank
no
you.
problem with that, okay? I just asked for resumes.
Thank you. So do you want me to make nominations for 2 at a time or 1 at a time?
Are we doing?
Do individually? Okay. The first nomination that I would like to make for the Transparency Committee to fill the 1-year term would be Nancy Snyder.
Second. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who was the second? You. All right. Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
and Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Go with the second one. The second nomination that I would make for the Transparency Committee to finish up on this 1-year term would be Tom Wyka.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. Anything else? Mr. Valori?
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Yancy, could we please make sure that those people receive letters that they're on the committees? Thank you. Okay, scheduled meetings. March 18th, 2014 at 7:30 PM, regular meeting. April 8th, 2014 at 7:30 PM, agenda meeting. Minutes for approval. August 6th, 2013, agenda meeting. August 6th, 2013, closed session meeting. August 20th, 2013, regular meeting. August 20th, 2013, closed session meeting. September 10th, 2013, agenda meeting. September 10th, 2013, closed session meeting. September 17th, 2013, regular meeting. Mayor, anything?
I have nothing at this time.
Just Mr. Karifi, if I
Yes.
may, the minutes for approval will be listed as non-consent agenda items.
Okay. Thank you. Administration? Bids taken, none. To be taken, none. Quotations, proposals, qualifications, received, none. Requested, none. Jasmine, where do we stand on the insurance broker? That was brought up in December. It was supposed to be on the agenda for January, then in January we asked for it, it was supposed to be in February. February we asked for it, it was supposed to be this month.
Maybe next month it'll be, Councilman, April.
Well, can you tell me why we keep getting pushed back month by month?
Listen, I'll address that at the next meeting. I want to just look at certain things to do with the insurance, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, because the delay could be costing us where we could be potentially getting a better deal and saving the taxpayers some money. So I'd like to,
Okay, we
we
can
can address
discuss
that as soon as possible.
You got that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor Barbario, I have a question for you. In the last couple of weeks, you keep indicating in regards to amounts on the 1099s that, for the record, I've been requesting legal bills for 3 months. And when you say we get things at the last minute, I received today in my mailbox from 2010 to 2012, 3 spreadsheets. These I requested months ago. I received the 2013 spreadsheet probably about a week or so ago. But in regards to inaccurate information, or maybe you could correct me, I have some of the 1099s that were redacted, and I just want to say for the record here, you have so maybe you might understand the 1099s. For 2013, the law firm of Inglesino, Perlman, Wyscala, okay?
Which is Scala, Councilman?
Okay, correct. You have $3,955,165.32. I'm assuming that is a trust fund where that money is being put on this 1099?
That is correct.
Okay, so you made a statement in the paper today that he made about $500,000 a year, the Inglesino law firm. But on 2013, the other 1099 that you failed to mention, it's $747,751.69. So we're going to go to 2012 now.
I know, but what I
Yes.
said to the paper was this, that it averages.
You know, you called me a liar and unethical.
Right, and well,
Okay.
you came out and said that he made $3 million over 3
I
years.
didn't say that.
So, basically, well, that's what I was told.
You were
when the
told.
reporter- yeah,
Okay.
so
You were told
same
that.
thing. What the
Okay.
reporter tells you.
Okay, so let's get back to the numbers
That's
here.
what we're discussing here.
Okay.
Holy crap.
All right, so we're going to get back to the second 1099 for 2012. Now, these are ones that, again, they were still redacted to me. 2012, you have $126,831.06. And then the second 2012 1099 is $569,212.82. So which one is the legal bill, the 1099? Is it the almost $600,000 one or the $126,000 one? Is that the trust fund?
But that.
Okay.
The 126 is the trust fund.
Okay, so the numbers are
569 is
starting
the
to mount
people.
up here. Okay, so we're going to go to 2011 now. 2011, we have two 1099s. The first one indicates that the law firm made $714,976.76, or $76. So that is one 1099. The other 1099 is $297,594.95. So which one is the trust fund and which one is obviously the amount the law firm made?
Okay, the 714 is the attorney trust fund. The 297 is the legal bills.
Okay, very good. Now, 2010, where is the 1099 which had just miraculously disappeared? Do we have that 1099, which nobody provided for me whatsoever, and these emails been going out since day one I got sworn in?
Councilman Valori, this is the first I'm hearing of that one.
Okay.
I do have the 1099 for the professional services portion. It was 149. Sorry, 149, $951.85.
Okay, and the surplus that went from 2013 into 2014, which we have to pay off, you had indicated to me part of that was with that law firm for almost about $50,000?
Correct.
So basically, last year he made $800,000. So when I'm ridiculing the paper, when I'm trying to find out, I have nothing against the law firm, and I just want to know for the record, there are several law firms that do business with our town. I requested all the law firms' unredacted legal bills. It wasn't just John Inglesino's legal bills. It was for all the law firms because I stated on the record, and I spoke to the CFO and the business administrator, I was trying to do a trend analysis for this 2014 budget. And what do I get today? Just before the meeting, I get 3 spreadsheets that should have been given to me months ago. Just like the letter of, unfortunately, the letter that we were in conflict with John Inglesino literally 2 minutes before we were supposed to go to vote. So, you're right, Mr. DePiero, earlier. There needs to be a lot of change on how this administration is doing business.
Now, I'm gonna
Thank you for your
respond-
time.
yeah, and I have to respond to you. This is your press release, Councilman Karifi's press release, that says for the last 3 years that the township attorney charged $3 million. That's why.
For 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, okay, for 4 years was $3 million, when in fact it wasn't.
So how much was
It
it?
doesn't
And
say
that's what
3
I was
million.
responding
Okay,
to.
so how much was it
But it
then?
didn't say
It
3
was,
million.
what was it? You have the,
Didn't say
From
3 million.
2010 to 2013 for professional services, it's $1,764,511.31.
Okay, and how
For
about all the
1099.
other attorney fees that this law firm does business with besides this for the town? There's other monies in the trust
For the
fund.
attorney
There's a
trust
profit made.
accounts, there's $4,796,973.14.
and the attorney
But-
trust? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not talking about the trust fund. I'm talking about what other fees that are required, other legal fees that are out there.
Yes, Stern, in 2010, it was $220,305.44. Sorry
What's
about
so
that.
sad about this, I need to bring this up in front of a public forum. For 3 months, I have emails requesting this information. We have a budget that we have to start working on Monday. And I stated, for the 4 years that the law firms have done work, if we see trends where money could be saved and we can compare from other law firms that did work for the town, that's fine. We're only trying to save the taxpayers' money. So I don't know why, when we keep getting this answer from Mr. Inglesino's law firm, that we can't ask questions. This is what we're voted in for, to ask questions to find out where our taxpayers are spending their money. Because 2014 budget will be significant, and we need to make an analysis on that. So again, if we all want to work together, just be open and transparent. And that's why I need to even get that committee going.
First and foremost, Councilman, I'm responding to a press release. I wasn't responding to you personally, okay? I'm being
But you
told-
called me a liar, though, in the press
Well,
release.
you called me a liar. I'm sure you called me plenty of names over the past 2 years, so, and you know it, Lou.
I'll laugh about that one. Okay, go on. But I just want to make the point, Mayor, that
Here's my
that's what we're
point
trying
to
to
you,
do.
Councilman. There's a lot of anger here. And I'm not going to say it's just you, it's me. Come to my office. Say, hey, Mayor, I'd like to sit down with you. I'd like to spend time with you. Let me just tell you a little story about my father. This is important because we're both the same type of people, I think. My father always said this to me. I lost my first election in 2005. Man, was I upset. Man, was I sad. And I was angry because I said to myself, there was a split ticket. But I remember one thing my father always said to me, don't hold a grudge. You know why? When you hold a grudge, you got to hold that person down. You got to be down there with them. I'd be more than happy to meet with you. I don't want you to yell at me, Lee. I'd be more than happy to meet with you. Just you and I. We can go over all this stuff. I don't have a problem.
And
But let's do it.
that's fine. And one thing that my mother taught me was that if you don't ask questions, you won't get the answers. And that's all I'm
Okay.
trying to get.
You know, my mom is
My
saying-
mother's about 4'11".
My mom was 4'11". She used to say to me, God gave me 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. 'cause
Exactly.
It's twice as hard to listen.
Exactly. We'll go all night. Thank you.
But if you, Councilman, please, call my office. tomorrow.
May I just add to that? As I stated earlier, I'd like to get all this behind us and get a resolution to this so that we can do what's best for the taxpayers of this town and do our due diligence to provide them with the best services, but spend their tax dollars the most wisely as we can, as wise as we possibly can.
And one of the first things, Councilman Blow, we could do is we could talk about the $3 million in my office.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
All right. You know, I'll bring it up next week.
No, just come to my office.
Okay. Yeah, if I don't hear from you. Okay.
Okay, ordinances, none. Discussion. Designated smoke-free areas in Parsippany Township. Does anybody have anything on that, Mr. DePiero?
Well, Council President, the ordinance that I proposed, I went over with the Parks and Forestry Department, the Recreation Department, and the administration to come up with an ordinance that they could work with that provides anti-smoking in all the children's play areas and in the recreation fields when the recreation fields are being used for the sports activities of our young people. So I submitted it, and I'd like to put it on for a vote.
I think the ordinance is way too open with the 25-foot rule, and I would rather see the ordinance be basically parking lots only at the parks minus the null.
I think, Mr. Council President, at the last meeting, I think you indicated you were going to appoint a subcommittee that could work with us to address the policy issues that the council has so that we could put it in an ordinance that would reflect the policy views of the council, or at least the majority of the council, and move forward. We have not received any communication in that regard, so therefore we just haven't moved forward.
And also, I believe that there were some potential legal issues that we had discussed at the meeting in reference to this
Correct, and
ordinance as well.
That's correct. Well, we certainly want to, implement the policy decisions of the council. If you'd like to do that through a subcommittee, we'd certainly be willing to work with the subcommittee in order to accomplish that objective. But that's your.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Stanton and Mr. DePiero, would you like to be on that committee? Mr. DePiero?
Can I just, one of the issues we had was, we had heard from Mr. Piero, obviously, and Stanton. We hadn't heard from the other. It's not working, sorry. We had not heard from the other three councilmen on where they stood on this.
I know I stated at our last meeting or the meeting prior to that I agree with what Mr. Stanton stated, that I believe the 25-foot rule is going to be very hard to enforce, and that, for instance, you're at a park and somebody's smoking, and there is any kind of wind, that smoke is going to blow 25 feet into potential area where children are playing. I know, I don't want to take anything away from people that choose to smoke. That's their right. But I do believe that I would think that the parking lot areas would be a good area for that, because you would not have children, at least I would hope not, playing in a parking lot area, and that this way anyone that would choose to smoke could just go to that area and smoke, and we wouldn't have to worry about any children being exposed to secondhand smoke.
Well,
That's just my opinion.
I'll just pick on one organization. I hope they forgive me. Okay, let's take the Sons of Italy picnic, which is held at the Lenny Lenape picnic area. Okay, now during the picnic, members of the Sons of Italy go over to the bocce court and they smoke their cigars and they drink their vino, and they play bocce. Now, what you're saying is they should play bocce in the parking lot, or go out to the parking lot every time they want to
The
light
first
up?
thing I said was null's exempt. Due to the golf course,
Well-
we were going to make the null exempt.
Well, those picnic areas are not part of the Knoll Country Club. Their picnic areas are public picnic areas that belong to the township. So you have to be specific here, all right? I just feel that, the ordinance that we proposed has enforcement in there with the 25 feet. If any parent feels that someone is too close to their kids, they go over and ask them to either move away or put it out. If the person does not comply, then the second enforcement would be for them to call the police, and the police would get involved. We have an ordinance that could be enforced. So we have enforcement, we have penalties, we have fines, we have everything there that addresses all those issues. The wind, I don't know what to say. I measured the distance between at Volunteers Park between the circled-in area, which is the children's play area, and the picnic grounds was just below that. It's the 27 feet. Now, if you're gonna, where else would those picnic people go to smoke? Up with the R&R building parking lot? I mean, it's getting ridiculous then.
Now, they have their own parking lot. I'm in favor of
Which
making
is
the parking lot.
which that parking lot, by the way, is less than 25 feet from that children's play area.
I'm not opposed to anything to do with the 20, I just don't like 25 feet. I think it's too wide open.
Yeah, I think it's speaking on the law enforcement side of it, I think it's going to be very hard to enforce that, because if you have an individual that says, no, I was 25 and a half feet away, and the parent of the child says, no, he wasn't, you're going to have an issue there, and I believe that we brought that up last week, and
All right, listen, you
Mr.
can
Lucino kinda
you can come up with
agreed.
all kinds of what ifs. I'll tell you what. I'll withdraw the one that I propose, and you can write your own.
well, I'd like you to be part of the subcommittee for that, but I'm just giving you my personal opinion that I believe the parking lot would be a good designated area, that you shouldn't have children playing in a parking lot. But that's just my opinion. I'm only one of 5.
Plus, you leave it wide open. Say there's a field, nobody's on it. Guy's out there having a cigarette. Now 2 kids come down, they want to have a catch. Does he have to leave? Keep it the parking lot, make it simple.
The parking lot is less than 25 feet away from the children's play area at Volunteers Park.
Oh, but you make it at least 25 feet, and, I mean, in the parking lots, but also at least 25.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. I just think it should definitely be in the parking lots.
Mr. DePiero, would you be on that subcommittee with Mr. Stanton?
Okay.
Thank you.
Recall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, resolutions. Resolution of the Township Council of Township Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing a right-of-way use agreement with Zayo Group Incorporated. Anything on that? Any questions, concerns?
Mr. Creepy, I did get one last-minute resolution before the meeting from the court. It's to cancel checks from their bail account. I believe I make copies for everybody. If
Okay.
everyone has no objections, we could place it
Yeah.
on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Place it on consent.
Yes, you can place it on it, yes. Okay, as far as the resolutions that were tabled from February 11th, 2014, we just discussed separating those. You're going to make some, because there's some of us that have to abstain from
14, 26, 27.
one of the people potentially for the 2 positions, so if we could just separate those. Yeah, thank
I
you.
don't have any resolutions.
How about the director?
The directors.
Oh, the director, yeah, she's going to separate, you're going to separate those
You
as
want
well,
them?
right? Okay, thank you. Okay, township office reports. Engineering report, Mr. Stanton?
Okay, the ones I'm not reading are no change. Right-of-way use agreement. Zayo Group LLC. Zayo Group LLC seeking to install fiber optic cable within the right-of-way of Township Parsippany for the purpose of operating and maintaining a telecommunication system. Right-of-way use agreement is necessary to allow Zayo Group LLC to use the public right-of-ways for the purpose. We've reviewed the agreement, have no objection to executing the same. Resolution must be adopted by Township Council.
I have a question on that. Do they have to dig up any of our streets, or are they going to go on poles?
Oh, we gotta.
And if you don't have the answer there, get it to us before we vote on it next week, please. I just want to know if they're digging up our streets. If they do, I hope it's the ones with the potholes in it.
Okay. So we'll table that until next week then?
No, you don't have to table it, leave it on and just
Okay.
get us the answer.
Okay, sure, okay.
Right-of-way use agreement, PEG Bandwidth, New Jersey, LLC. PEG Bandwidth, New Jersey, LLC, seeking to install fiber optic cable within the right-of-ways of the Township Parsippany for the purpose of operating or maintaining a telecommunication system. Right-of-way use agreements necessary to allow PEG Bandwidth, New Jersey, LLC, to use the public right-of-ways for this purpose. We've reviewed the agreement, have no objection to executing same. Resolution must be adopted by Township Council.
Same
thing.
question.
Okay, same.
Is that going on?
No,
It's not ready.
no, it's not ready yet. We're waiting on,
So that one's
Okay, so we're gonna
tabled,
hold
that
that.
was not on the
Let's wrap it up.
agenda.
that one's going to be tabled.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, and that's it for engineering.
okay, thank you. Chief Financial Officer, anything?
Nothing for tonight.
Okay. Attorney, anything?
We have 3 matters to discuss in closed session.
Okay, township offices, committees, none. Communications. Any questions or concerns? We can add those to the consent agenda.
Would the council like the same resolutions to be enacted upon at the next meeting by you?
I'm not in favor of arbitration. I'm not in favor.
Okay. So, we don't want to set agenda then?
Yeah, could you remove the 2% cap interest arbitration for discussion for next week?
Discussion?
Yeah.
And you want similar resolutions, the other two?
What do you want with the other two?
Sure. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions on any of these? Okay. Okay, thank you. Applications, 2014, renewal of licenses, amusement games, entertainment, taxi/limo, tourist accommodations, and truck terminal. Any questions or concerns on those? Okay, entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. Paluso. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Okay, whoever comes up, if you can just state your name, address, sign in. You'll be given 5 minutes.
With the 2% cap, if Christie changes it
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, no.
You want this to be, okay. All right, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rich Rosenthal, is this on? No.
Yes.
We can hear you. Yeah.
There. Rich Rosenthal, 3 Cambridge Road, Morris Plains, which is the standard line. I've given you a copy of a letter from the Morristown National Historic Park Service, and it's going to lead on to here. It says a new National Park Service reports that 294,000 visitors to Morristown National Historic Park in 2012 spent $15,853,000 in community near the park. And then it goes on to say, according to the report, most visitors spending towards jobs in restaurants, groceries, and convenience stores, 39%, etc., which is going to lead to the next part. I'm a member of the North Jersey American Revolution Roundtable. We meet in Washington's headquarters. Just before I get into the point, we are going to have a Congress of American Revolution Roundtables that are going to meet in Morristown. They will be coming from states as far as Massachusetts, South Carolina, and the rest of the colonies, as we still call them in here. I was in charge of making hotel reservations. And where did I make it? Morristown, I live in Parsippany. So I made the reservations in the Hampton Inn. We get the hotel occupancy tax, which leads to the next point. We live in American history here. We don't realize it in Parsippany. And something called to my attention a few months ago. In a small town of Hampton Borough, 1,300 people in Hunterdon County, they dedicated a plaque, 3 foot by 4 foot, to Morgan, from Morgan's rifleman. Although he's from Virginia, he was born in New Jersey, and yet the small town of Hampton thought enough to erect a plaque to him. I was selected to be one of the speakers, and at that time, before a group of 50, including the state senator, Mike Doherty, and the state assemblyman, DeMayo, participated in this. And at this point, I started to think, we in Parsippany, again, live in American history. This road right out here, 202, you may not realize it, but it goes, if you took it south, you go to Valley Forge. If you took it north, you actually go right near West Point, which was meant to go to West Point, and it continues on through the colonies. But the major portion that we have here is on Beverwick Road. In 1781, on the route to Yorktown, George Washington crossed over below the knoll, stayed below, right over the river, and then continued along Beverwick Road. What I was proposing to Parsippany is we erect a plaque to where the Washington-Rochambeau March. Now, I've brought in here, I let the superintendent of Park Service know that I wanted to propose this Parsippany, and he had me call somebody at the National Park Service in Pennsylvania. And there's actually a trail that's going to go from Rhode Island, where the French troops went all the way to Yorktown. If you're like I am, and you travel anywhere, you go to Virginia, you go through whatever the Civil War trails are, you go to Maryland, you go where John Wilkes Booth are, you go on the other side of the river, that's where John Andre went. People follow the trails, and when you follow the trails, you stay at the hotels, you eat the restaurants, you buy gas, etc. We have a major thoroughfare, and that's along Beverwick Road. I asked what they spent in Hampton, and they spent $2,000, but what they did was they asked for donation from various groups, and my roundtable made that contribution. And in fact, there is a Washington-Rochambeau March, which I'm not part of. But my feeling is, if we get started at least in Parsippany and honor the fact that George Washington came on our street, on the busy commercial area, and at least erect this sign with that little, you know, when you knock down the building and you have that tiny park over there, this 3x4, people will stop. There's not a drive-by sign, you know, where you look at it and you say, what are you stopping for? You're going to kill me. That's what I have with my house. But you actually get out, you stand there, you look at it, and then you walk around, and then you follow the trail. We're doing this on a commercial area. I'm not proposing it for the rest of Parsippany. I don't want to get in the NIMBY, not my backyard. They shouldn't be driving through here. But it's still a major street and will eventually
30
cross
seconds.
Route 10. But this is what my proposal is. I'd like to, somewhere along the line, I'd like to get somebody to get started on. Now, if you can ask me, did I contact the Historic Bureau? The answer is no. Things will go there to die. They know about it. They're on the Washington-Rochambeau. They've never proposed it. I'm not looking for me to do it or anybody to do it, but I would love to serve on a portion to call attention to Parsippany an hour and go back to the thing. What we have on our logo, we have the colonial hat and we have the cannonballs. And I think it would be honor to our community to be one of the first out there to have these signs posted on here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Rich, for your information, you have some of the Historical Society sitting right behind you, so they heard every word you said.
Yes, we did. Mary Persicki, 273 Marcella Road. Can I answer him with not within my 5 minutes? Just to be accurate, we do realize where Rochambeau marched from Washington down through Connecticut, and Washington Spring, where the horses were, they actually stopped, is in the Wildlife Preserve area, which is zoned right now in the wrong direction. So if you want to save that, you can. But, you know, the town purchased the Smith Baldwin House for the very reason that we recognize the historic significance of the things that are in Parsippany. The Bowlesby-DeGellicky House now is going to be opened. A matter of fact, we're having a meeting there and we're having different clubs come. So we would really, the committee, the Parsippany Historic Committee, would love your input on things like that, because we are getting now involved in the fact that Parsippany does have such a great history. And matter of fact, we're putting together a brochure, which is just in the preliminary stages of what Parsippany has bought with open space money to preserve our history, and that would be available to the community. So you know, it's a work in progress, and we could use as much help as we could get. If you want to join the Historic Society, we meet the third Wednesday. The plug. The third Wednesday of every month, and this coming Wednesday we actually are going to do a thing on the restoration of the Bowlesby-DeGellicky House, and it's going to be an archives and a museum so that people can come and learn the history of the importance of all the past residents of this community that did serve in the Revolutionary War, that did serve our country just in every capacity practically. So the ideas are there. It's just, it's hard to get it together when you only got so many volunteers. That's all I got to say. That's not my 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay? So really, see us after and we'll help you.
Wait. Well, wait, you know what, can you guys do that after?
Yeah.
Talk about that after the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, we can,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
that just happened. If you would look, they still haven't established the whole thing on the internet. That's why. Because last week, that was my project. Well,
piece
anyway.
of work.
Okay. Mary Przicki, 273 Marcella Road. You know, you guys, you confuse me, I have to tell you. I would really hope that there comes to some resolution on this attorney issue, because it is eating up precious time. The residents of the township, I think, are like me. You're in a limbo. You don't know what's going on. And I just urge you that to do it in the legal right way, so we don't have to waste our tax dollars on appeals too. Do you know? I mean, make sure that every T is crossed and the I is dot, so that when the final decision is made, it can't be appealed and you don't waste any more of my money. Because I want you to get on with the job of the redevelopment of Cherry Hill Road is coming up. Critical to traffic, critical to the people that live there. The wildlife preserve, which happens to be my passion right now, as you all know, you got enough letters on it from me. But think about it. I mean, that is a environmentally sensitive area that needs to be looked at and to be saved, not to be developed like the possibility can exist. There are the road department, which is understaffed. You go and you walk the streets and you look and you say, holy mackerel, these roads are falling apart. The budget. There are so many pertinent things here that the taxpayers need to know. But be perfectly blunt, this bickering back and forth is getting the best of everybody, and it's time to resolve it. And if you can't, because you've all got conflicts, then let the taxpayer resolve it and put it on a referendum, and we'll decide if the lawyer should be here or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Przicki.
Thank you.
Hi, Julie Peterson, 25 Old Parsippany Road. Again, I don't think I can speak before you without appreciating that every single one of you works hard and does your best, because that's what we all do. As citizens, what we need is we need to trust what's happening. And I know that for the council meetings that I've attended up till this year, I have felt that the agenda has not been driven by citizens. That there's been an agenda and it hasn't been driven by citizens. And I urge you to, as Mary said, to try to put the differences behind and get on with the budget. The Forge Pond, the wildlife preserves, the historic preservation, all those things that are really important to us. And I do recognize that the majority of our tax dollars is going to the school system. I mean, I love it when people talk about, taxes and stuff, but I think we may be at base, and I don't like paying them, but we may be at base for municipal taxes because the big amount is going to the school system. And I would even respect some elected officials who said, look, we have to maintain our services. We can't cut anymore. So I'm probably in a minority saying that, but I do believe it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy, and Mary, you're supposed to make an appointment with me on the wildlife, because I have the whole folder out. Uh-oh.
She's a bus driver.
Box.
Send that down.
Yancy.
You're past your prime on that.
Oh, I'm still, I'll outrun any of you. I'll run them out. Roy Mesmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. I came here tonight for one thing, which I'm going to get to, but I do got to go on the record for some stuff here tonight. Really bothered me. Is this on?
It's
No, it doesn't work, I don't think, Roy.
Hello?
Oh, there you go.
Here you go, Roy.
Okay.
Closer to it,
I hate, yeah, but I hate Roy Mesmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. I have to get some things off my chest here. Well, let me tell you what my grandfather used to tell me.
I like this.
What goes around comes around. And what happened tonight, Mr. DiPiero, that was despicable. Because you didn't speak up 2 months ago when at the 11th hour and 59th minute, Mayor Barbario or the township attorney handed him the letter. You didn't speak up then. So you have no right to speak. You have every right to speak whatever you want to say. But that was wrong. What goes around comes around. First, that's number one. As regarding all the resolutions and all that stuff, I just mentioned about, at the 11th hour. Second, Mr. Inglesino, you made the statement that you always do the right thing. Well, you still haven't explained to Papatacci or the rest of the residents of Parsippany, and it cost us almost $11,000, why you were at the town meeting on Sunday night back last January. And explain to me why you constantly say it's client privilege, attorney privilege, while you redact your bills. Henry Luther never did that to me the 11 years Mayor Letts was here. Dakotas never did it to me the 4 years with Mayor Luther. As for the record, everybody should know here tonight that Ryan Graham made a $7,200 contribution sometime in the year 2013 to the Morris County Republican Committee. I'm going to try to I can always go up to Dover and see him one day. I'm going to try to catch up with Mayor Luther and find out if he ever made a contribution to him, because he was here for 4 years. Okay, now why I came here tonight. I hope you're thinking, because I'm not a happy camper. On June 18, 2013, here's the tape, I presented the occupancy fee tax. Here we stand here on March 11th, 2014. We've been moving like a turtle on this, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to this town and millions of dollars to the state of New Jersey, just in one area alone, tax the 1-week rentals at the New Jersey shore. And Mr. Inglesino, with his feet up on his conference room table, said, great idea, I'm going to call the Ocean County administrator, wherever his name was. Have you called him, Mr. Inglesino, to get the ball rolling on this? It's 9 months ago. You can answer me later. I have 5 minutes only. Why I came here tonight. You all awake? Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm presenting to you and requesting that Parsippany investigate and initiate the payment in lieu of tax for all Class 15 tax-exempt properties in Parsippany. For those not familiar with this program, I will explain. Payment in lieu of taxes, or the acronym PILOT, is a program where a municipality receives payment in lieu of property tax from a tax-exempt properties or from another government entity that owns real estate, such as land, etc., in your township. The pilot payment is often negotiated to cover the proportionate cost of services they benefit from, such as, but not limited to, the following: firefighting, police protection, garbage, snow removal, road repair, maintenance, etc. Pilot programs are also used as an inducement to get infrastructure improvements, example, school, road repair, sewer, etc. Currently, in the township of Parsippany, we have 46 tax-exempt properties in this category, with a potential growing to 50 within 18 months. Just attend a planning board meeting, Board of Adjustment meeting. With the continued loss of tax ratables and the increasing number of 15D properties, I am proposing that the properties 15D class be given a cost/expense for services received. This is not a tax. Only the state legislation can impose a tax, but you can impose a fee. It is unfair to expect the average Parsippany taxpayer to continue to bear this ever-increasing burden. Thank you. Any comments, questions? What I have here for you tonight, it's a whole packet. There have been many, many precedents set on this. Jonathan, just pass it up. Everybody gets a package.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome. Any doubt? I know I'm not playing 11th hour, 59th minute on you. Obviously, you haven't seen this before. But do any of you have any questions or comments in my 1-minute speech?
Well, Roy, part of the those tax in lieu of would include the ARCs, Cheshire Home, the ARC locations.
That's not 15D, Mr. DiPiero.
It's not?
Nope.
Well, they volunteer a tax that they pay.
I'm not sure you're 100% right with that, Mr. DePiero, but I'm not here tonight.
Well, that's what
15D.
they told me.
I mean,
I said
this
15B.
only comment I have on that, Roy, is the fact that, and I could be wrong, I could be right, I don't know. Can we impose a fee, Counselor, on tax exempt? I mean, we can oppose it, but do they have to pay it?
We'll look into it.
All right.
I said earlier, Mr. Mayor, it's, this isn't like what I did with the occupancy
No,
tax.
I know what this is.
This is happening. And you know what upsets me, Mayor? Not just you, but all of you. And prior council people. You attend this big hullabaloo down in the municipal Atlantic City. Don't they have conferences on this stuff? Why has a little old boy like me got to find out about this? Because I tell you something, not just you five, because I don't even know if you went this year. The prior council people, I just think it's for a big party time. Nobody has ever come back and told us, the public, and there's usually only 15 of us here, what you learned there. Thank you.
Roy,
No-
could you get us a copy of the houses? You said you had a list of 46.
I'd rather not be the one to get it from the tax assessor, okay? There's a reason. I mean, it's you guys don't have to open it.
Stanton, Brian, I'm sorry, Councilman Stanton. I know him all these years, Stanton. You can, we'll get you a copy from the tax assessor.
Thank you.
Roy, thank you. Oh, go.
No, I was just going to ask Mr. Inglesino, do we have any updates on that, the occupancy tax? Any updates, status?
Can I give him the update, John?
Sure, Roy.
Right. Well, no, I'm sorry. You asked the attorney. I'm sorry. I just know everything. That's why.
I defer to Mr. Mesmer.
Okay. You know what I all think of Justin Menchado. I'm horrible with last names.
Okay.
Whether they're Irish or German. We met on February 10th. Unfortunately, John and the mayor couldn't make that meeting. I scheduled it for the 10th because the next night we had a council meeting. Justin has been in contact with the Division of Taxation because what I brought back from Delaware, what we do down there, as a homeowner, you receive a piece of paper. You all got it. You weren't a councilman yet, though, Robert. I could get it for you, and neither was Lou. But it's on file. What it says, do you rent out your house for less than 30 days? And if you do not pay that tax, if you do not reply, it's a $25,000 fine. And in Delaware, we'll shoot you, too. It's below the Mason-Dixon line. What I proposed to John and to Justin, I'm sure they related to the mayor, that it be put in our tax bills. You know I hate spending money. But Justin, because he's so competent, contacted Division of Taxation, and they said, we got to get back to you. We don't know if you can put anything like that in a tax. I get it in Delaware, but that's a different state. What else? I lost my train of thought.
So he is working on that?
Yeah, but,
Okay.
And if we don't do it that way, then we're gonna have to spend, what do we get, bulk mailing here?
Yeah.
Can we send it out like, maybe a postcard type thing and save money? But I'm always looking to save money, so to throw it in the tax bill. Now, I'll talk to you later about something
Yeah.
that you might have done wrong, but,
Why not?
but I don't wanna go on the record. It's a minor thing.
All right.
You were speeding up, not one, two.
No. Oh, that, I never do.
It's about a mailing, it's minor.
All right.
You know, like you call up the fisherman's service.
Thank you.
Oh, my back.
Nicholas Homiak, 2609 at Lake Hiawatha. I'm here concerning the Clean North Beverwick program that was started last year in March. The program didn't really get anywhere, but one thing was accomplished. The municipal trash containers were taken away because property owners and business on North Beverwick was dumping their trash in the parks. And I heard the containers are coming back. I think it's a mistake. But in the program, there's one sentence here. The street side containers are for the strolling public. There is no strolling public. And the reason those cans are filled like they are, these people pull up to these various franchises to get their bagels or their Chinese food, whatever it may be. They pull over and there's a can there. All the trash comes out of the car. They eat. The stuff is on the gutter. There are still some chronic people who don't follow the program, don't clean the sidewalk, don't clean the gutter. But if the cans did come back, they should come back maybe strategic locations like maybe bus stops. And I walk around the town for exercise. You get up on Knoll Road, and you'll notice that the Knoll apartments, their trash containers are exposed to the elements. There's very sloppy property management at the Knoll Gardens. And a lot of that trash along Knoll Road, it's from people tossing it out of the car, but from my experience, and I'm a bit of a trash detective, a lot of it is from those containers is being blown by the wind going into the public space. That shouldn't be. Their property, to use their functionary titles or whatever agreements, they should have some kind of a fence or a barrier around those containers. And if you look in the containers, there's virtually no recycling going on. And a lot of residents, they put out for recycle. There could be an extreme weather event, a hurricane coming. The people will put out the recycle. And what do? You get plastic bottles all over the place. Now, the people know they put it out, but once it hits the street, it don't belong to them anymore. It belongs to us. And the town's getting sloppier, and so the whole country's getting sloppier and sloppier. But Parsippany, I feel, could do a lot better than what it's doing. But they have to enforce their trash and litter ordinances. They might as well not even be on the book, because, and you might be able to make money out of that if they can't manage the property. If they can't, you're supposed to have a report saying the tonnage of recycle that's coming from like a property like Knoll. Are they falsifying the reports? Do they even give the reports? Everything gets thrown in the trash. It's their business. They're paying for it, but it's our business because they're leaving it exposed to the elements and they're making the town dirtier than what it should be. And if they bring back those trash cans, you're asking for trouble again. And all right, so please reconsider to bring it back to the cans. And if you do, certainly not in the volume or the amount, because the quantity and the volume of trash that's generated up there is phenomenal. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Manning, Rainbow Lakes. I don't know where to begin. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible and just go down the punch list.
Use the microphone.
Is it working? Okay. I just want to stay at the beginning before any action is taken on that foolishness that took place at the beginning of the meeting. I want to have the same investigation done on the two new council members, and then we'll see what the story is. Oh, that's good. Question for Paul. These are questions I don't want to discuss, but just leave you for an answer. A year ago, you played Jump in the Lake at Mountain Lakes because you weren't happy with what was being proposed. There's a new proposal for Mountain Lakes, and I just wanted to understand whether or not you intend to jump in the lake again for a hotel. Because Mountain Lakes just opened up a 38 condo unit, and we were not invited to even talk about it. So, you know, that's a little silly. Lou was talking about vouchers and payments and all kind of stuff. During the campaign, Lou campaigned and said that he wouldn't accept any payment for being on the council. So my question is, has he been paid?
Jerry, when you're done, I'll answer you on that one.
And Mr. Peluso, talking about a conflict of interest, because that's what this whole mishmash is about. You appointed a journalist to sit on one of our town committees. I consider that a conflict of interest. Now, the situation with Mr. Karifi and getting involved in his brother's difficulties and taking it out on Mr. Inglesino here, you're directing it at the wrong place. Mr. Inglesino had nothing to do with the investigation. That gentleman in the back of the room is responsible for the investigation. So if you got a problem with it, take it up with him.
Jerry, who are you pointing to right now?
Yeah, who are you
There's
referring
ladies
to,
back
so
there.
we know?
Oh, Chief Phillips? You're pointing to Chief
Is that
Phillips?
who you're referring
The
to?
chief.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll have it for the record. We'll discuss that.
For the record, the chief.
All right. Keep going.
I think we went over one of my questions as far as the compensation for the town attorney. Yes, the money is put in escrow, in an escrow account to be paid for town responsibilities. I think if you look deeper, rather than blowing smoke, you will find out that this attorney compensation is far less than previous attorneys. Look it up. And I found Mr. Valuri's department during Mr. Inglesino's defense of his position to be a little out of the ordinary, sitting there smiling and grinning. When this thing is all over, I think you'll be grinning out of the other side of your mouth. Oh,
Are
and
you finished?
one more thing. You won't need your recorder. We got TV now. So you can put your recorder
Council President, let me
away.
speak up.
I want to, he
Uh,
addressed me first.
Yeah,
so
you
I
can
just
stand
wanna-
there, Jerry.
First off,
Go ahead.
Mr. Manning,
Go ahead.
you stated that I jumped in the lake in support of development, which is a complete opposite. I supported the cause against development to protect the your time is done. It's my turn now. Okay, to protect the quality of life of the residents of Parsippany. So I jumped in the lake in support of that cause, not for development, not for mountain lakes and what they're looking to do, for the residents of Parsippany. The event just happened to be in mountain lakes, okay? So that is one thing. Secondly, again, you bring up my brother, which you and the mayor seem to always do, and I've repeatedly said my issue with Mr. Inglesino was I've requested unredacted legal bills, and again, repeat, nothing to do with my brother, redact those. Everything else, and I am not being provided with those for whatever reason, and I cannot do my job as an elected official to the work that I was elected to do for the taxpayers of this town. That is what I'm doing. I want to know, they deserve to know, what their money is being spent on. Okay? That is my thing. Go ahead, Mr. Valori.
I would like to answer Jerry back in regards to a recorder. Here's the reality of life, Mr. Manning. A police officer in this town, I'm hoping you're aware of it in case you're ever stopped, or anyone ever stopped here. Anytime a police officer has any type of encounter with the public, doesn't matter what it is, your body mic is live. So there's no allegation of anyone knows that nothing ever happened. And for the record, if anyone who was the victim that night on January 13th on a Sunday night here at 8 o'clock at night was Lou Valori, I'm being asked to be here with a township attorney, with the mayor, and a council member discussing a job offer that was $50,000. Follow the fact patterns, because if I didn't protect myself, then it would have been more smoke and mirrors that it never occurred. It did happen. The mayor stated in the paper that he never offered me a job. It never existed. Well, the reality is I was offered a job, and it was $50,000. It was a loyalty position to the mayor. So if anybody protected himself, was me, Mr. Manning. You live in a different time era. So if I have a instrument to use to protect me, that's the fact of what happened. Okay? And then secondly, you had made mentions in regards to my salary. I publicly opened up to the public and stated I have no problem with donating my salary to who I want to donate it to, which I have been doing. Okay? Nonprofit organizations, to whoever I feel like donating it to. So I never ran for this position for a salary. So get your facts correct before you come up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're done.
Okay, your time is done, Mr. Manning.
Time is done.
You did run on it.
Your 5
Yeah,
minutes.
We'll
is
see
over.
each other.
Anyone else?
Donnie had opened his mouth. He brought it upon himself.
Members of the council, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to serve again on the Transparency Committee. I learned
Just
about...
state your name and
I'm
address.
sorry. Tom Wyka, Bennett Court, 1 Bennett Court. Is that on? Yeah. I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to serve on the Transparency Committee again. I learned about the vacancy from former Councilman Nelson and submitted my resume to the town clerk. I understand Mr. DiPiero's concerns about that. I just want to address that in a second. You know, from the very first time that I ever walked up to this microphone, there's been people talking about my political agenda. And, you know, as anybody that's ever involved in politics, you understand that people will think what they think, and you just have to keep working toward what you believe in. And in fact, since I last ran for council, the only thing that I've actually done in the public sphere is become the vice president of a statewide organization, New Jersey Foundation for Open Government. We've been working very hard with that organization, and we've got a really tremendous website with some great resources out there for the public. So that is actually one point from perspective of resume, Mr. DiPiero. And what's interesting is Mr. Cicero had actually called me personally about the transparency ordinance when it first came up. He asked me if I would come down and endorse it. And I came and listened to the discussion that night, and I remember that you had some concerns about that ordinance, about it being kind of unrealistic with regard to some of the expectations that were outlined there. So I think that I'd like to carry forward on some of those concerns that you had and see if there is opportunity there to adjust what's been done. So I am really prepared to get to work on this. You know, Mr. Cicero did ask me to support that, and then subsequently, when I complained about us not getting started, not getting moving on this, passed an ordinance that retroactively shortened my term and Ms. Catanzaro's term, and we all know what happened there. We were able to attend the very first meeting. Actually, one of Mr. Cicero's friends joked that Annalise's energy and her leadership, we should have appointed her a secretary right there on the spot. Unfortunately, she was never invited back along with myself. But I am ready to get to work on this. From another point of resume, I've been an IT project manager for pharmaceutical companies for the past 10 years or so, so I make my living putting information out on the web. And I do absolutely thank you for your opportunity to serve on this committee again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pat Patacha, 182 Hawkins Avenue. Wow. Yeah, we are in a quandary here. If it continues, I think the next step is federal government's going to get involved. This is just nuts. It is ridiculous. First question is, are there any questions, any answers to my questions that I handed in to every single council member back in February? I still have not heard on anything, and I'm getting annoyed. Okay. Mr. Inglesino attended the planning board meeting of 2/24, and that was in regards to the redevelopment on Cherry Hill Road. Sorry.
Just speak up, Pat.
That was in regards to the redevelopment on Cherry Hill Road. As a resident, I'd like to know why he was there, and was he paid for that meeting? Does anybody know from the council? Anybody send him?
Well,
I
do not. After 5 minutes, I'll be happy to answer.
He'll answer you at the front.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Stanton, a lot of those questions were asked to you and that questionnaire. I'm not sure what is going on with this conflict attorney. What I did was I opened any documentation sent to Mr. Lavery by Mayor Barbario. I was told there was no documentation. Then I went back and I listened to the tape of the evening of that meeting. And listened very carefully. The mayor stated that he contacted Mr. Lavery by phone. Okay. I asked for phone records. You can't seem to get those. Then I said, you know, for the heck of it, I really can't see how an attorney can give a 4-page response on conflicts by a telephone call. Okay, since there's no written documentation that they tell me. This conflict was talked about on the phone, and during that phone conversation, this man was able to cite this, that, and the other thing. I'd question that. I also decided at the time to ask for the documents, any documents, that may have been sent by Mr. Inglesino. When I picked up that Oprah request, this may be news to everybody because I didn't know it, that, and maybe Yancey can fill it in if I'm not doing it better or good. It turns out that Mr. Inglesino is a township attorney. So I'm really confused on a lot of different issues. Now, he's the township attorney. He has, he's complaining that we have conflicts, yet if we know that he has they have a conflict, he has to have a conflict too. He had, when I requested those documentations, I was told I could not get any documents that he fills out for the town. Surprisingly, the town doesn't even get them. So if Mr. Inglesino, if he did this, and I'm not saying he did, I'm just saying I am being cautious, because I've been attending these meetings for many years and seen many things. So when they told me that, I was floored. I think that should be changed. If an attorney is working for the township, I think we have a right to see what that attorney is doing and how he is representing us. And you're right in that thing. I did look at that myself. I was looking on what the relationship of an attorney with the town council and vice versa. And he does have to turn those documents in if he no longer is our attorney. Okay. I just want to make a statement. Okay? I have witnessed from day one what has been going on. Okay? From day one. I know how all this got created. And you do too. All of you know how this got created. And you are being... They all know how this got created. Everybody knows. Everybody sitting up there knows when it was created and how it was created. And if you want it all to go out on the news, hey, I'll be more than satisfied to sit down with somebody and say what I witnessed.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about,
I don't know,
Mayor
Pat. I wish I
Barbario.
did.
And the rest of you do. Okay? You know when this conflict first started, you know what it was about. Get over it, get on with it, and an attorney who represents Parsippany or any town, you look up the word ethics, it tells you you have to have moral conduct, you have to have integrity, you have to know what's right and wrong. And there are instances where that has not really been seen. There has been a yes council for many years.
30 seconds.
I want you all to really think about what we are doing. We are destroying this town and the people. Stop it. Please.
I have to respond to one of your comments, Pat, in regards to Michael Lavery, our conflict attorney. I've had several conversations with Michael Lavery over the phone, and that's basically, you know, when you ask for information, I spoke to him on several occasions. I spoke to him today. I spoke to him, but I do it by phone.
And in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion, how can you really get that much insight without having a face-to-face meeting?
Well, he's an excellent attorney, that much I could tell you.
Yeah.
He knows how to research, I imagine, a lot better than I would ever.
I just don't like
So,
what's happening, Mayor Bob.
you know what, Pat, I don't like it either. You know, since, I say 2011, even prior to this council, you've been coming up here constantly attacking. You know, I even said, well, why should I respond to Pat? You so rudely got up when I went to speak at my inauguration, which is fine. You didn't want to hear me speak then. I've always told you, you can call my office, you can come in. Please feel free to come in. You want to talk about issues with me? Feel free, Pat.
Mayor Barbario, I've called your office
Feel
many
free.
times. It's been ignored.
And
you have not.
Oh, you can come to my office anytime you want.
Yeah.
Pat, you've come
Mayor
to my
Barbario,
office.
you banned me
No,
and
I
Roy
never banned you.
Mesmer
I
last
banned,
year.
No.
You banned
There was
us.
no banning of individuals.
us. I have-
It's the, let me finish. It's the fact that you were going into directors' offices.
No, I
didn't want
wasn't.
their time to be.
I never
didn't
went
want
to
you-
a director's
I
office.
wasn't banning you, just that any member of the public couldn't go into the offices. But they didn't get any information they wanted. I got to run a town. That's number one. Number two, you've called my office on many occasions. I'll give you an example. You called me during the storm, all right? During Hurricane Irene.
Did I?
You did. You were complaining that no one was picking your garbage up. And I explained to you all our
No,
resources.
I said, is there a
all
problem
of us were
going
down
on that
in
we
Lake
should
Hiawatha.
stand
That's
and
what we
leave
do.
it out in...
But what did we do? We picked your garbage up for you.
Okay.
Right,
All right.
because you asked my administration to do so, while the people in Lower Lake
Well,
Hiawatha
it was
had to
for
have
my
resources.
whole block,
Right.
not me.
All right. Okay.
Don't say I don't correspond with you, I do.
All right. Thank you.
Lou, you smirking, Lou? Sure, Pat.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I sit here and look at you gentlemen on the dais and the ladies up there. I've been coming to these meetings on and off for over 30 years. I probably spent more time in this council chambers than all of you combined, with the exception of Councilman DePiero. I'd just like to say, through the years, I've seen a multitude of disagreements with council members and the mayors. And I go back to Frank Priori, Mayor Mimi Letts, Henry Luther, and now James Barbario. Some of you may know it, and some of you may not know it. I travel this county to do volunteer things, to help different organizations, and I want to say we used to have a motto here, pride in Parsippany. I think somewhere along the line it's disappeared. I also want to say we're the laughing stock, Parsippany is, of Morris County with the way our elected officials behave. I think if you go home tonight and I hear all this talk about doing what's good for the taxpayers and what's this and what's that, I sincerely hope that you go home, put egos aside, put vendettas aside, and try and sincerely do what's in the best interest of this town and the taxpayers. By the bickering that's going on and the fighting that's going on, nothing gets accomplished other than making more animosity and more hate amongst you. The majority of the people sitting in here don't want to hear that. I don't care who they're supporting, who they're with, who they're behind. They don't want to see this fighting and bickering going on, whether they're Republicans, whether they're Democrats, whether they're independents. Go home and examine your conscience, all of you up there, and do what's right for this town, what right means. Put your egos aside and quit trying to fight with each other. And I leave you with that to go home and think about it.
Okay, see no one else come forward. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. Valori. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. Okay, closed session. I make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
For what purposes?
To discuss ongoing litigation.
Okay, discuss
Second.
ongoing litigation. Seconded. Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded
and-
by
and
Mr.
prospective
DePiero.
litigation And contracts.
Okay, we can keep it down, please. We can keep it down. Closed session resolution, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss attorney-client privilege, and whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills that the public be excluded from the meeting.
Second.
Motion to adjourn into closed session. Roll call.
Sorry, who was the second?
Myself.
Seconded by Mr.
Brian
Stanton.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Paul, just give me like 2 minutes.
Hey, we gotta redo it.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
All right, we're on.
Make a motion to reconvene into open session.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Good night, all.
Right. Take care now.
My purpose.
That's it.